everyone, and welcome to another day of Zoo School. Today is Meet an Animal Friend Friday, and if you saw our Facebook post last night, you probably saw that we were supposed to meet Maxie, the green-winged macaw, today, but Maxie decided that she wanted to stay back in her area today, so we are using Oscar instead. And he's saying hello to everyone. So Oscar is a blue and yellow macaw, and if you look at him, you may see his feathers look a little disheveled. He's actually really old. He's been at the Tulsa Zoo since the 70s, so he is an older macaw, and that's why he looks a little bit rough around the edges. But he's been ambassador animal at the zoo for a really, really long time, and he loves his job. So we'll turn him around, see if he'll face you guys today. So I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about macaws and what makes a macaw. This has been Bird Week for Zoo School. So we've talked all about birds this week, and we haven't really talked about macaws yet. So we're gonna start at the tip top of Oscar's head and go all the way down to his toes and talk about what makes Oscar a macaw. So starting off on his head, we're going to first talk about something that we actually can't see, and that's his brain. So macaws are extremely intelligent animals. They have a highly specialized and developed brain, and it makes them very, very smart. They're incredibly smart, and they have high social structures. So they like to be with other macaws. In human care, they bond really, really closely with their caretakers. And they have a high sense of awareness of their surroundings. So that helps keep them safe in the wild. For our macaws in our care here in the education department, what that looks like is they really like to stick to a routine. So every day they kind of know the routine they go through, and if sometimes things change, sometimes it can make them a little nervous because they're smart enough to know what their routine is. Moving on down, we see this beak. So macaws have these huge beaks, and they're really, really strong. And they have big, strong beaks because of what they're eating. So they are herbivores, which means they only eat plant material. And one of the favorite things that they like to eat is nuts, seeds, fruits. So they have to have this really, really strong beak in order to eat those things. Inside of their beak, they don't have teeth, but they do have a highly specialized tongue. So their tongue actually has a bone inside of it. So it's muscular, just like our tongues are, but they actually have a bone inside of their tongue as well, and that helps them be able to manipulate their foods, manipulate their surroundings, and it helps them be able to eat. So I brought what's called a Brazil nut today, and Brazil nuts are extremely hard. If I try, I cannot break into this. I can try with all my might, and it's not gonna budge. I can't do it. It's really, really strong. This is one of their favorite food items, and I'm gonna see if Oscar wants it. Here, Oscar, got a Brazil nut for you. There you go, buddy. So those are happy macaw sounds because he got one of his favorite treats, and he's gonna hide it right now. But if you can see him, Oscar takes a little bit longer to eat his Brazil nuts sometimes. We have some younger macaws like Maxie, who you saw in the photo. Maxie can smash into her Brazil nut right away with a really, really strong beak that they have. Oscar still gets through it, takes him a little longer. I told you he's a little bit of an older guy, but you can see he's using that tongue, using that beak, and he's able to kind of rip into that nut to get to what's on the inside, which is high nutritious nut on the inside. So he's gonna work on that, but we're gonna continue talking about him. Another key characteristic of macaws is their colorful plumage. So you see Oscar is a blue and yellow macaw. He's primarily blue, and then he has some yellow on him as well. And Maxie, who is supposed to come out, is a green-winged macaw. She's primarily red, but has green on her wings as well as blue. So macaws are really, really colorful, and this actually helps them blend into where they're from. So we probably wouldn't see them out in Oklahoma out and about, but they're from rainforests. So specifically rainforests in Central and South America. And in the rainforest, macaws with these really pretty colors actually blend into their environments really, really well, and it helps them stay away from predators like snakes or other larger birds of prey that may be after a meal and look at them for that. So they also have these really long tail feathers you can see here. Macaws are actually really quick when they fly. They can fly upwards of 30 miles an hour. And when they hit the brakes to land on a perch, they have to kind of turn those tail feathers down, and that'll help slow them down so they can grip well onto the branch that they're going onto. You can also see that Oscar is using his feet in order to eat. So we're going to talk about their feet a little bit. They have 2 toes facing forwards and 2 toes facing backwards. And that's really important because in the rainforest, that'll help them grip on the trees that they're staying on. But they also use their feet kind of like a modified hand, how we use our hands. So you can see he's demonstrating it really well right now. He picked up the Brazil nut, he's holding it with his foot, and it's helping him be able to eat that. He's still working at it to get into it, but he will. It just takes him a little bit of sometimes it takes him a little while. Another interesting thing about them is if you look at their feet, you'll notice that they don't have feathers on them. They're not covered with feathers. Similarly, on his face, you can see he doesn't have a lot of feathers on his face. So they're actually covered in scales on their feet, and they don't have feathers there because it helps them stay clean. So if they had feathers on their legs and their feet as well as around their face, when they're eating those fruits and different types of foods, it could get really nasty and mat up their feathers, and they're adapted to be like this, so that helps them stay clean. So that's kind of what I had to tell you about macaws. This is a question and answer, so if you have any questions, go ahead and put them in the comments and I'll answer them in just a second. I wanted to show you guys some other really cool things that we do with our macaws and all our animals here. So macaws, because of that highly developed brain we talked about, also really like enrichment. So we give all of our animals enrichment. They're actually on enrichment plans. Every year we say what type of enrichment they're going to get, how often they're going to get it, and we strive to meet those goals. So what is enrichment? It's something we offer our animals to encourage species-specific behaviors. But to everybody sitting at home, it probably looks like toys. So I have a few different things I brought to show you guys today, and some of Oscar's favorites. This is what we call a shark cage, but on the inside, you see we have all these blocks in there. So what this will do is, it's called manipulation enrichment. When we give this, we can just hang it in his enclosure, just like this, and it gives him something to manipulate and play with. They really like wooden blocks. Their beaks continuously grow, so they have to kind of gnaw on things to wear their beaks down so they don't get too long. So we'll hang this in their enclosure, and they really think it's a fun activity to do because they're trying to pull the blocks out and then chew on the blocks. They really like that.
Were they born with all of their color?
That's a great question. Were they born with all of their colors? So macaws and most birds are actually born with very few feathers. But birds tend to grow extremely quickly. It's really important that they grow fast because they're very vulnerable when they don't have their feathers. So by the time they are about 2.5 months old, they will have their full feather plumage. And by 3 months old, they'll be able to fly and away from the nest. So there we go. We see he's getting through the nut now. So it does take about 2.5 months for them to get this full feather plumage, but they do grow very, very quickly. And when they do grow their feathers in, they'll look like this. Males and females in this species look the same. There isn't a difference. And size-wise, they're pretty comparable as well. So once they're 3 months old, they kind of look the same the rest of their life.
How old is Oscar?
So Oscar was brought to the zoo in the 70s. We aren't sure exactly how old he is because we don't know how old he was when he was brought here, but he's at least in his 50s.
How long can macaws live?
So they live a really long time. It's actually pretty comparable to a human life expectancy. Oscar's in his 50s. A good age for a macaw is anywhere from 50 to 60 years old. But they can actually live even longer than that. There's records of macaws living all the way up to 100 years old. So they're a very long-lived species of macaw.
Does Oscar know how to talk?
Does Oscar know how to talk? So he actually, he doesn't know how to talk. Macaws typically don't know as in understand English language, but they mimic what we say. It's part of that bond with their caretakers that they build. Words that they hear a lot, then they actually start to repeat and mimic themselves. So Oscar does say a few things. He'll say hello. Actually, when we started the live feed, he said hello right away. He'll say his name, and he says hello, Oscar, together.
Where are Oscar's ears?
Where are his ears? So you can't really see them, but they are on the sides of his head. And it's actually good you brought up senses. So they have a pretty good sense of hearing. They have good vision. But a lot of people don't know that their sense of smell and taste is actually not highly adapted. They can taste and smell a little bit. We used to think they couldn't taste or smell at all. They can a little bit. It's just not highly specialized like it is in humans.
Do they mate for life?
They do. So they actually will form pairs and stay together for the entire of their lives.
What is Oscar's favorite food?
Oscar loves Brazil nuts. As you can see, he's eating this one right now. He got through that tough nut. But I think his all-time favorite food is his egg he gets every morning as part of his breakfast. You would think that he is getting like something new every single day and so surprised and loves it how he reacts to his egg every morning. He is very excited about it.
How long is his wingspan?
That's a great question. So his wingspan is about 3 feet. The largest species of macaw is called a Hyacinth Macaw. They're really pretty, kind of bluish purple color, and their wingspan is actually about 4 feet. So it's really long, really big wingspan.
Does he blink?
So he actually does. Oscar is kind of an older guy. He doesn't have the best vision anymore, but he can. You can see he actually has been closing and blinking his eyes. Okay, I'll show a few other enrichment items that Oscar really likes. This is called a puzzle feeder. You can put kind of high value food items in here, and they spin this disc and have to work to get these items out. We'll just hang this in their enclosures, and they kind of spin it, and it keeps them busy for a really, really long time. This is an example of some rope that we would use to tie their enrichment, but they also like to bite and chew at this rope too. Anything with a cool texture, macaws usually really like and find interesting. And lastly, it looks kind of plain, but macaws love newspaper. They love ripping it up. It's delicate. It's kind of funny with their huge, big, strong beaks that they have. But they love ripping up newspaper, shredding it. Keeps them entertained for hours. They really like that as well. So that is all I have for Oscar and I today. I just wanted to thank you guys so much for watching and supporting our videos. If you're interested in ABLE, we do have an emergency operating fund that you can donate to. There's a link in the video. And even though the zoo is closed, we're still here caring for our animals, and we appreciate your support through watching, sharing our videos, and if you're able to donate to that emergency operating fund, we are very, very thankful for that as well. Thank you so much, and we look forward to seeing you next week for another week of Zoo School.